Greetings, Pacific Northwest Conference. It is good to see you back here again. I am excited today to be chatting with Mark Meredith, who is a church planting coach with our conference. And welcome, Mark.
Hey, good to be here.
Mark, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself and about your ministry background, so we can get to know you a little bit?
Yeah, Jill, thanks. I came to Christ in my mid-20s and was involved in a business, family business that I bought from my dad, and then grew that up until I was roughly 40, did some seminary work, and then was asked to plant a church in the Anchorage area, Alaska, and ended up staying there at that church for 17 years. And in that 17 years, got involved with planting other churches in our denomination. And so it's been my life. And then when we moved to the Seattle area in 2012, I was pastoring there in Sammamish and just got involved in church planting in this conference. So, and then retired in 2020. And now I'm focusing even more on church
So this
planting.
is your retirement job.
This is it. I love it.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And so did you grow up in the Pacific Northwest then?
Yeah, from Olympia originally, and that's why
Okay.
we moved back here. Yeah.
So at what point in your journey with Christ did you kind of come to understand that maybe ministry was your calling and your vocation?
Yeah, it wasn't like handwriting on the wall kind of thing at all. It was just taking these little steps and being I think restless, spiritually restless in a way that turned out to be good, but my business, I just wasn't, I didn't have the same excitement for it that I once did. And so,
Mhm.
okay, I want to feel really good about what I'm doing. I want to be someone who is contributing to the kingdom of God in a significant way. And one thing led to another. And then church planting just seemed to, I don't know, just the perfect fit.
What about church planting made it a good fit for you? What captured your imagination and your heart there?
In my business life, I tried to be very kingdom focused there as well. And but church planting, using some of the same, I guess, skills that I developed in
Mhm.
the business world, because it is an entrepreneurial set of skills that
Absolutely.
are needed for, I mean, it's not the only thing, but it really helps in church planting. So redeploying those skills in a way that is a little bit more centrally focused on the kingdom of God. One of the changes that I've seen, from 1995 till today, because that's when I started, was back then there were a lot of church planters coming in with a little bit of idealism around the thing. I can create something, you know, I don't have to just do stuff that was always been done. I can, and I think maybe in your story you said some of that too, but
Yeah.
just creating something beautiful, something new, a new expression of the kingdom of God. And I think back then we may have had that, um, but it tended to get flushed out by the realities that you run into because it is a real world, no matter how idealistic you are. Today, I think it's even more, how do I say that? It's not as formulaic today as it was then. I mean,
Mhm.
then you kind of follow this recipe and hopefully in the sovereignty of God, good things happened.
Mhm. Tell me from your perception why it's not as clear and as formulaic now.
Yeah, and I would say that's true of life in general, that there's just more decentralization, more dispersion of more ways to do things, more diverse, just diversity, right, has increased in every area in the past 25 years. And I I think as culture has decentralized, more diverse ways of expressing what the kingdom of God looks like
Right.
are there now, but it does require maybe a different set of skills. And I just feel like we're in this liminal space, this time between, and I have to be really careful. I love the church in all of its expressions. It's always a miracle, just like people,
Right.
we are born and we live this life, and there's a miracle in every birth. And when a church is birthed, it's a miracle, but it's gonna look different in different places, and what everything used to look like and what everything maybe will look like in the future, and maybe in the future it won't it'll just be more diverse? I think we're all asking that question right now.
Yeah. Well, and additionally, our pastors and church planters, um, anybody in ministry is dealing with this exchange of information that's at such a rapid pace that
Exactly.
it's an added challenge, the information superhighway, right?
Yeah. And then throw COVID in on top of that.
So how would you define your role or what you do as a coach to a church planter? Are you a friend? Are you a mentor? Are you a cheerleader? What is your role?
I think a little bit of all of those. And I think my main thing though is to ask the right questions and not fall into the trap of having all the right answers. You know, the right answers 20 years ago may not be the right answers today, depending on context. However, there are certain things you can say for sure, like wisdom is needed today more than ever. Like,
Mhm.
because there's all this information, and information and wisdom are two different things. So what is the information that I need right now? And that's a wisdom question.
If I was a brand new or an aspiring church planter, I guess I should say, and I came to you and said, Mark, I really feel like I'd like to plant a church. What are some of the first questions you would ask?
Yeah, I would want to hear, well, why you think you're called and gifted to plant a church. What does that church look like? Um, what are some of the resources that, like that you have in your world that might help that, like friends or a very wealthy family member or whatever is in your,
We all need one of those.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, and your track record, I think the probably the best predictor of our future is what's
Right.
happened in our past and kind of how we're wired and what our experience has been. Those are the starting places.
So tell me about the Pacific Northwest and church planting. What's going on in our world in church planting?
Well, there's some really good, healthy church plants, and there are some that are, I mean, they're all struggling in some way. But the things that are really, I think, encouraging are the church planters themselves are, I would say they're not perfect, but healthy. They're healthy, and that's a big part of my job too, is to encourage them towards health,
Mhm.
personal health, self-care, so that you're probably not going to have a healthy church if you aren't healthy as a pastor. So taking that seriously. Um, and we have church plants in Boise, Spokane. The ones I coach are Boise, Spokane, Bellevue.
In addition to being a pastoral and a church community that embraces church planting, conceptually and in practice, how can we as a conference kind of wrap our arms around these church plants and love on them? And also, how can we best pray for them?
I would say one thing, I mean, planters have a lot, or church plants have a lot to offer the conference, just in terms of they're experimenting. And so to take another, like if you know a church planter that's maybe out there somewhere, and to ask them how they're doing, it would encourage them just to be asked how they're doing, praying for them, but also learning from them because they're trying some new stuff, doing new things
Mhm.
that the church, the established church, could learn from. So I think that comes to mind. And then yeah, praying and they can oftentimes use any resources that might be in excess in a more established church. Yeah, and one more thing, just praying for more church planters. I really think like we need more, and
Absolutely. All
so
right. Well, you'll be in our prayers and our thoughts, and we thank you so much for the work you do with the conference. And I thank you for your time today.
thank you, Jill.